So it's that time of year when everybody's going back to school, so today is all about academics. Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, and today we're talking about books that remind me of school. So they all have this kind of like academic vibe to it, and yeah, that's what all the books are going to be about today. Let me apologize. The highway sounds today really loud. I don't know. It's bothering me. I don't even know if you guys can hear it, but it's bothering me. Before we get into it, make sure you hit all the buttons down below so you know when I'm posting. I post every week, and all we do on this channel is talk about books. So if you like listening to people talk about books, here I am every week doing just that for you. Yeah, most everybody has started school already or is about to start school. So yes, happy beginning of the year to you if you're starting school or if your kids are starting school, whatever. I hope that the first day goes off and everyone has a good time. So not all the books that we're going to talk about today are happy. In fact, now that I think about it, I don't think any of them are happy books. Most of them fall into the thriller category. But yeah, they all have this like academic feel to them, which I don't read that very often. But yeah, I'm excited to share them with you today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. The first book on my list today is Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. Y'all have heard me talk about Sarah Gailey before. If you've been on my channel a minute, you've heard me talk about Sarah Gailey. Okay? This was my first Sarah Gailey book, so it'll always hold a special place in my heart. Premise. We have a female main character, and she is a private investigator. And she gets hired by a magical school to solve a murder disappearance. This magical school does not work with like regular police officers or anything like that, and the reason that they've hired her is because she's a private investigator, but also because her sister is a well-renowned professor at this magical school. So this school feels like they can like trust her with this secret of theirs, right? So she goes in to solve this murder, and it just has all the best vibes, okay? It's like a magical high school, and so we have all of the angst and drama of teens, because that's who she's closely working with to try and like dig up why this person has died and kind of get the dirt a little bit. But there's also just like this nice breath of magic. So it just has this sort of old academic feel to it throughout the whole book. I had no idea where this book was going the entire time. Sarah Gailey left me hanging at every noticeable opportunity. I think the layers that they got in this book were just phenomenal. I was not expecting the ending, and it just turned out so much bigger than I thought. This book made me fall in love with Sarah Gailey. I mean, I will always remember this book. And yeah, the academia vibes here were just really strong because there was this really cool mix of like modern tech and just what I would consider like Harry Potter vibes, you know, just like that old Hogwarts feel, but move it into like a more modern setting. So yeah, the vibes were immaculate here, and Sarah Gailey really just, it was magic. It was magic. Next book on my list is How to Lead a Life of Crime by Kirsten Miller. I've definitely talked about this book on my channel before. I think I talked about it on Most Interesting Books I've Ever Read. It must have been one of those posts, I think. I read this book a long time ago, and I still think about it. I still think about this book all the time. But this also had like really heavy, more like collegiate vibes to it. So what we have is a school for criminals, is what it is. We have a main character, I can't remember, I think his name is Flick, maybe, who is a pickpocket. And he gets recruited to go to this school where they teach them how to be high-level criminals. Talking like corporate espionage, political hijinks, those kinds of things. Like ways that you can make money legally, but still be stealing from people. That kind of thing, okay? So it's very highbrow crime, if you will. It's teaching these kind of lower level what they consider themselves to be kind of throwaways to make them into like highbrow criminals. Yeah. The longer that they're in this school, the more that they question what the end goal of the people that are running this school is. So lots of twists and turns, very fun. Like the whole idea of it was really, really cool. I really liked this book. I liked the feel of it. It was so long. It's a very thick book. I just didn't have the patience really for how much was in there, but Kirsten Miller really put together a super cool book. I really loved the idea of it, and it gave all of the vibes, okay? If you want something that's just like a little bit different, this was definitely different, and it was definitely cool. The next book I'm going to talk about is Black Chalk by Christopher J. Yates. This is also one I read like a long time ago. I remember the moment I saw this book though. Isn't that wild? Like some of the memories that you can like pick out. I had just gotten back into reading. I was at a time in my life when I was like transitioning from one chapter to the next, if you will. And so I walked into the library for the first time after I don't know how many years, and this book was on a new release display. And I kind of read the back and I was like, that sounds cool. This is a very dark book. Very dark, but very twisty and interesting book. Like, it's dark in a way that doesn't feel dark when you're reading it, but when you look back on it, you're like, whoa, that's a little messed up. Black Chalk is about a group of students that are going to Oxford their first year. And what starts out as a simple, like, truth or dare kind of game turns more high stakes until a lot of bad things start happening to this group of people. Then we flash forward like, I think it's like 14 years, 15 years, something like that. Flash forward all this time, and the friend group comes back together because they need to put it to rest, is what they say. Put the game to rest. I just never knew what to expect with this book. I had no idea what was coming. Like the whole time I was reading it, it really just kept catching me off guard, and it's just one of those books that sticks with you. I'll never forget this book. Like, I don't know. It's one of those books I think about. I should probably read it again. It's been so long now, I should probably read it again. But yeah, this was definitely a good one. And it had just terrific academic vibes. And we're talking about Oxford, okay? Just like the whole vibe of this book was Oxford, and it just kind of like shown the whole time, if that makes any sense. There was really good academic vibes on this one. Okay, the next book is Obedience by Will Lavender. This was the first Will Lavender book I ever read. I've read a couple more of his books since then, but this one, I always come back to this one because I felt like this one was the best out of the ones that I've read. So, first day of college, they're in this class called like reasoning, I think, something like that, deductive reasoning, something like that. And they're given an assignment, first day of school. In 6 weeks, this person is going to be murdered, and it's your job to prevent that. They're given like, you know, a sheet with characters and stuff on it and like all this evidence and clues and stuff, and they're supposed to, over the 6 weeks, put together who killed this person or who's going to kill this person and, you know, prevent the crime or solve the crime from happening, something along those lines. And so, like, oh, it's super exciting, you know, and they split off into groups and they start working together. Well, these 3 students that start working together, as the class goes on and they're handed more clues and they're starting to put the puzzle pieces together, the clues in the assignment start kind of coming to life. Like they're finding them out in the real world, and they're noticing similarities in the real world to the case that they're working on. And so there's this blur from, is this real or is this something that's meant to be made up? Is this fiction or not? And as we're getting further and further into the book, that line blurs and blurs so much that they don't know if it's real or not. And so it comes down to, are they going to be able to solve this crime? And is it actually a crime? that's happened, or is it a crime that's going to happen, or is it a crime at all? It's wild. It's a wild ride the whole way. Like, it was just the depth that Lavender was able to get here really like got to me. I just felt like I was teleported somewhere else while I was reading it. It got under my skin. This book really did. Like I said, I've read this a long time ago and I still think about it. I still think about Will Lavender's books. This one in particular, though, I always think about the ending. Oh my gosh. And of course, it just has all the academic vibes. Like, we're at college and there's just this kind of like young ambition in these students to kind of like be the best and stand out. I really, really liked it. It's one of those books that'll stick with you forever. This is the last book on the list, and it's That's Not What Happened by Kody Keplinger. I've talked about this book on my channel. I know I have, but it's been a minute since I've talked about it. This is a school shooting book. So I'm just going to put that out there at the beginning, because I know not everyone likes to read about stuff like that because it does hit really close to home, especially if you live in the US. Obviously, this has a lot of academic vibes because for the most part, it's in a school and it is about a school shooting. So basically what we have here, this is, now I can't remember, oh shoot. Now I can't remember what the parallel is here, but this was based off an actual school shooting that happened. When I look it up, I'm going to put it up here for you. We're dealing with the survivors of this school shooting. There's a handful of them, but it's primarily told from the perspective of one girl. And what's happened is that she survived the school shooting, but her best friend did not. And as everyone's stories are coming forward and we're like kind of getting like an anniversary type look, the parents of her best friend that passed away in the shooting have started kind of turning her into a martyr of her faith because of some things that were said when all the stories were coming out. And one little lie basically got ballooned into this whole other thing, and her friend basically just thinks that they shouldn't be lying about something that didn't happen at all. So this is the story of that. Basically, we do get the whole shooting story in here. Like, we get the memories from the students and everything. And this is basically the aftermath of them like continuing on and going to school and trying to like be normal after something this horrific has happened to them. It's a very touching story. It's very sad in some places and very liberating in other places. And just the whole thing of it, I definitely wouldn't read this if this is not a genre that you particularly like, or if you're very sensitive to things like this, because they do get pretty graphic in this book. But I thought it was really well done. I really like what Kody Keplinger did with the story, and this does mirror a book that was published, like a true recountance of a book that was published. But yeah, it definitely had a lot of school vibes. This would definitely be more like high school vibes than anything. And it's just a really harrowing journey from survivor to just being something besides a survivor. Like moving on from an event that you could possibly never move on from. Anyway, only read it if you really want to. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this list of books. These were all really different, but I liked them all in really different ways. But yes, the academic vibes here for all of these books were immaculate. I really don't talk about books that I don't recommend, so I highly recommend all of these. Make sure you hit all the buttons down below so you know when I'm posting. I post every week. And yeah, if there's any books that you would like to suggest to me with academic vibes, drop them in the comments. I love hearing from all of you. And next week is going to be the wrap up. Or no, next week's going to be the maybes. The maybe series for September. The year is like kind of winding down, which is a little terrifying. But I'm excited for the September lineup already because that means it's almost October. And October is my favorite month. So yeah, I'm ready to get us rolling out of summer and into fall. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. So I will talk to you next time. Bye!